Hi everyone, this is Emily from Emily's Palette and I'm back with a new video. I took a week break, so apologies for not posting anything last week. But I went to Italy for the weekend and it was so nice and warm and stunning and everything. And now I'm back and I wanted to talk about actually a very personal experience that I had in my life. Mainly just to share some anecdotes about my life, but also to explain how this certain experience made me go from quite shy and insecure to very confident. Well, not very confident, but quite confident, I'd say. And that experience was going to Ghana. That's right. When I turned 18, I was in my fourth year of high school at the time. And in Italy, have really long summer holidays, about 3 months or so. So I decided to do something very different and super scary for my 18th birthday. And that was travel to a completely new place with complete different culture and do something that's definitely out of my comfort zone, which was teaching and building schools. This was a volunteering experience, and you get a group of people who is full of international young people like you, as well as a chaperone from Ghana and a family to stay in. That includes meals, outings, weekend trips, that kind of thing. Now, it was very difficult to find the right place to go to at that age. I hadn't really explored too much of the world yet, so I was a bit like, I have no idea where to start or where to go. But Ghana kind of stood out to me because I heard such good things about the people there and just amazing things about the culture, and I just wanted to try something completely different. So I decided to go to Ghana, and this was going to be for 4 weeks, so it was a whole 28 days. And at that age, that was extremely scary because I'd never been away from my family and friends for that long. And I was literally going to leave by myself. I was going to be brought to the airport by my family and then bye. And then I was all alone and on a really long flight by myself, with the only instruction being once you get out of the airport, there will be like a van with a group of people waiting for you, and the van will say project support. And the van will say products abroad, and you will just need to go there and tell your name and basically do some checks. Super daunting, super scary, but anyway, I did all that, which already looking back is like a massive step out of my comfort zone. Being able to do something like that by myself, it just made me realize, wow, now I am grown up and I actually can do all of these things by myself. But anyway, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know anyone who was already there. I didn't know anything. I just said, I'm just gonna go and see what happens. Also, because if you have no expectations, then you can't truly feel anxious about anything. And then you kind of get there and you're like, okay, I guess I'm gonna deal with this now. So there I was, an 18-year-old girl who just landed at Accra airport, and I was trying to look for the exit. Obviously, I had a massive suitcase, which was already a challenge to carry by myself. And there it was, a big van with projects abroad. A few people were on there, and there I met my chaperone, David, and he was just really friendly, really happy guy. And they told us, because it was a late flight, they told the people who arrived that day that we were going to stay in a hostel. They booked it all for all of us. There were about 20 of us when we got there, and it was just me and this other girl. And suddenly they tell us, oh, there's no more space in this main hostel, so we're going to have to get you two to stay in a different place tonight. Okay! Bear in mind, I have no signal. I don't know how it works. They told us that they'd kind of tell us about how the signal goes probably the first day. So that whole night, I was without any signal. I couldn't tell my family I'd landed. It was all very, very stressful. But anyway, we get to this other place, and it was a really quiet, deserted room in like a block of houses, and it was just, they just had a key and they let us in, and it was just me and this really, 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 really quiet English girl, and we just didn't talk hardly at all, apart from some really small talk, and we were sharing a bed. They had no running water that night. I was like, wow, okay, this is really happening, it's starting. Obviously, I was terrified because I thought the whole trip would be like that first night, and that I wouldn't really know where I was going to sleep the next night, but it was all really nicely planned. We got up, we went to have breakfast with all of the other volunteers, and slowly I was just talking to some people, but I didn't actually know who was going to be at my family home until we got to the family home. It was this really big family with mainly the people that would stay there mainly were the two parents, and the house father, dad, was actually the priest of the biggest church in that little town. By this point, we had moved away from the city into very, very, very suburban towns, and it was just really crazy to see how different it was there. And slowly, all of the volunteers that were going to stay with me started arriving. Two of them I'm actually still really close with to this day, which is amazing. And, people from Belgium, from Holland, a few more from Italy, some Japanese girls, just a really wide range of people. And the girls were going to be separate in a house, and the boys were going to have their own little bit outside of that house. Bear in mind, there's lots of cultural differences, so it was really tricky to kind of show that you're just friendly with a guy at that stage. So it was also really difficult at that age to learn, okay, how does this culture work? How should I present myself? I don't want to disrespect them or make them angry, especially as they're having us at their home, but also kind of trying to get on with people. And it was just a very interesting experience. And we just started to get up in the morning. We'd have a rice pudding for breakfast, which was crazy, by the way. I never tried it before. And then we'd go to the school. We'd teach in kind of pairs. We'd teach maths, English, or sustainability, because that was also part of what we wanted to do. And then we just meet these people. I was assigned with the youngest group, so they were actually 6 to 8 year olds, which is very tricky because they can only speak Twi, which is the language there, and only very, very, very little English. So we also did some Twi lessons as we were there. We learned a bit of Twi, like Aquaba or Wadin de Sen, that kind of thing. I think I remember just those two phrases because I haven't used it since. It was the first time I had worked with children. It was the first time I was ever teaching anything, and the first time I was especially teaching in a school in Ghana. It was surreal. Looking back at it, I just can't believe that I did that. The kids we met there were absolutely incredible. All of them were amazing. They were so talented, so sporty, so happy and friendly. We had this little van we'd travel in, and every day as we came with the van, they'd follow us on the road, like running up to the school, and they'd just be waving at us. And it was really, really sweet. They were so sweet, these children. And every day we'd go to a market and pick up some fruit that they could eat for their snack. I think that's the thing that changed my perspective so much, is that these children have so much less than we have growing up in places like the UK, Italy, and they were just so happy and so friendly with us. They had just such an optimistic view on life. So that was the experience. We also went on to do some building of schools, which was really interesting. I had never done anything like building or plastering, but we learned how to do it, which was really cool. And we just made it fun. We also were painting the school, and at the end we just got all the children and we just kind of got them all together, and we said, this is going to be your new school and the place where you're going to study at. And they were so happy, and occasionally we'd see bits of culture, of their dances and of their They do choirs a lot during school, they sing together and do dances. And they had so many of these really sweet games that they'd play that it took me so long to actually know how to play them, because they're really tricky, and such sweet, intelligent children. And whenever I think about what was the craziest, wildest, most amazing thing that I've ever done, I always think back to Ghana, always. I met these random people. Part of why I was able to overcome this shyness was because I thought, for once in my life, I'm in a place where no one knows me. I don't know anyone. I'm in a completely different environment. So I'm going to try and be fully myself without feeling shy, just being confident. I want to be open with people. I want to be honest with people and just be myself, be friendly. And the response that I got was unbelievable. I felt truly understood and valued for the first time in a long, long time before that. So coming back from that was really strange because I had to get back into my routine, back to the people I knew. So I felt, oh my god, I can't just be this new version of myself, because everyone will be like, what the hell? What's changed? And that's kind of what happened with some school friends. I remember coming back and I was like so much more confident and much more like, these are my boundaries, and if you disrespect my boundaries then I'll be mad at you and I'll cut you off. I kind of went in the opposite direction a bit before then coming into this in between, which I think is where I'm still at now, of I can literally be myself. I can, if I want, travel by myself and go to Ghana for a month, adapt to a really completely different environment, completely different culture. We'd have bucket showers, we'd drink through like plastic bags of water, we'd have their food, we'd have to adapt to the family's ways and be responsible. We had to be very responsible when we were over there. It really shapes you, this kind of experience. And I know people always say, oh, traveling is the best thing you can do while you're young, and genuinely I think that's true, but not because you need to see more of the world. I think that's a great thing, but mainly because it does shape you, because it puts you in situations that you've never been in before. It's completely throwing you out of your comfort zone, putting you in a completely different environment. And once you figure out, oh, there's these little nooks, these little difficulties that I need to sort through, how would I do that? Well, I have to do it because I'm by myself abroad and no one else is going to help me. So I'm going to figure it out for myself. And the amount of confidence you get from that, where I just figured that whole situation out by myself, is undescribable. You just have to try it. I'm sorry. To anyone who has been wondering whether doing that trip or going volunteering was the right thing for you to do, then I think this is a video to tell you to go for it. Obviously, be prepared, do all the mental prep that you need to do before going. That it is a lot, but you will absolutely love it, and it will be a life-changing experience. At least that was my experience. And I hope that was meaningful and helpful for you guys to hear. I am going to finish the video off with just a few videos and photos from Ghana, just so you can kind of see a bit more about my experience. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it was helpful to you. And also let me know in the comments if you'd like me to talk about anything else. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps with my motivation to keep going. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. Bye. Bye. Oh.
Somebody I can deal with the bad guys when I'm with my baby.